Bodybuilding, the art of sculpting the body with iron into something that looks like it came from another planet. From the proportions of Steve Reeves and Arnold Schwarzenegger to the size and braininess of Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman. The sport of bodybuilding has gained worldwide fame and has helped usher in the trend of having a body of a Greek god. A good majority of people love to see a person who is fit and lean, but an even larger percentage of people find that the average bodybuilder physique to be too much or borderline disgusting. This led to the sport not making it into the mainstream, although being a well known and well established sport. Bodybuilders have a lifestyle and mindset that is quite similar to other athletes, yet, instead of receiving the same admiration and idolatry given to sports like basketball or boxing, the Filipino audience most of the time gives them the opposite, labeling them as vain and that they are wasting their strength on nothing. Ronnie Coleman, the man who is synonymous with being the greatest bodybuilder in history, winning a staggering 8 Mr. Olympia titles, is a household name in the United States. Hadi Chupin, who won the Mr. Olympia in 2022, received a hero's welcome upon his return to Iran. While in the Philippines, Joven Sagbayan, who is the first homegrown Filipino to qualify for the Mr. Olympia, is barely even recognized. So, the question is, why is bodybuilding not popular in the Philippines? The Philippines has a very rich sporting culture, where sports like basketball, volleyball, and boxing take most of the nation's attention. Basketball, in particular, is arguably the most popular sport in the country, where on a normal day you can see people playing the sport in almost every neighborhood. As a child, even I was pressured into playing in the intramural games as a part of our year level's basketball team, mainly due to peer pressure. Even my own mother said that I should play more basketball instead of spending all my spare time in the gym lifting weights for the sole purpose of becoming stronger and looking more aesthetic. The more I think about it though, the more I realize that this is one of the main reasons that bodybuilding is having such a hard time becoming accepted in the Philippines. Because Filipinos prefer sports with more collaboration, as it reflects one of the nation's most known cultural attributes, the spirit of bayanihan, which is particularly absent in bodybuilding, as it is a much more individual sport, and the fact that it's much less interactive with the audience makes it that much less appealing to the Filipino community. Bodybuilding, although having its own dedicated community, remains such a niche sport, as it does not capture the appeal of the common Filipino spectator due to the mindset set by the culture of the nation, as well as having a very difficult to penetrate market. As a young bodybuilder myself, I know that the cost of the sport errs on the more expensive side compared to other sports, as it requires specialized equipment and facilities as well as an unconventional diet and supplementation cycle. While gyms and supplement stores are becoming more and more popular in big cities like Manila and Cebu, it is still a rare sight to see one in rural communities. Even if gyms were made more accessible in rural areas, the fact that a large percentage of Filipinos belong to low income households make gym memberships outside the spending capabilities of the average Filipino. If inability to pay for gym memberships weren't bad enough, the fact that supplements would cost you a small fortune if you maintained them all year round makes the point of entry to the sport unreasonably high for most Filipinos. Compared to sports like basketball or boxing, which can be played with minimal equipment, like a ball or a hoop for basketball, the decision is oftentimes too easy for anyone choosing a sport to dedicate themselves to. Of course, there are still those who will push themselves despite of the financial constraints in order to pursue their passion for the sport. But this usually isn't enough to create the community necessary for mainstream attention from the media. One of the main factors that contribute to the lack of popularity of bodybuilding is the limited media exposure it receives. If I were to ask you to list down your top 5 favorite basketball players or top 5 favorite boxers, you would easily come up with names off the top of your head. While if I were to ask you to make a list of Filipino bodybuilders, on the other hand, you would most likely be stumped, unless, of course, you belong to the bodybuilding community. Sports like basketball and boxing are often featured in national news, magazines, and television programs. Bodybuilders rarely, if ever, get anywhere close to that level of visibility. High profile events like PBA games or Manny Pacquiao fights are widely televised and followed by millions. Bodybuilding shows, on the other hand, rarely even have a Facebook live stream, which means fewer people are exposed to the sport or its athletes. Bodybuilding has been around since the early 20th century, growing in popularity in the 60s and 70s, mainly thanks to the movie Pumping Iron, which featured bodybuilding's biggest star and advocate, Arnold Schwarzenegger. But even though most people have heard of bodybuilding, majority of the population still doesn't understand it as a sport and see it as a modern freak show where all you need are drugs and your own vanity in order to be successful, when in fact it is far from the truth. People, especially in the Philippines with its Catholic conservative nature, fail to see what bodybuilding truly is: a highly competitive sport that requires incredible discipline, intelligent and tactical nutrition, and a physical dedication, not only in the gym, but even outside of it 24 hours a day. Filipinos often view bodybuilders as vain and self centered, when in fact, the bodybuilding mindset is quite the same as the competitive mind of a boxer or any other sport. Bodybuilders will do most of anything to dominate their sport. But unlike boxers and basketball players who in fact spend more time in the gym than every Mr. Olympia competitor, are viewed in a different light. People see bodybuilding training as useless and non-athletic, when in fact it is the building block of any training program in every physical sport. In reality, we should thank bodybuilding for paving the way for the science of how to properly train in the gym. The body type that is promoted in bodybuilding involves a cartoonish proportions and almost no body fat in between muscle layers and skin, where you can see each individual fiber of every muscle. I once conducted a survey in my local school asking what they preferred a man to look like, and most preferred a slim and athletic look, which is in stark contrast of the standards set by bodybuilding. Many Filipinos prefer to see physiques that are more agile and athletic rather than heavily muscular and shredded. This is highly influenced by the country's traditional values of beauty, which is often focused on the more petite and slender look. Bodybuilding, which focuses on muscle mass, symmetry, and conditioning, is at odds with the more prevalent standards of Filipino beauty. Unlike sports like basketball and boxing, which have many household names, bodybuilding has few Filipino icons that have the same caliber of fame. Even though athletes like Ken Hanaoka, Batang Hipe, and Joven Sagabain have paved the way for the Philippine bodybuilding community, even they still lack the star power required to push the sport into the mainstream. The previous sentence may have ruffled a few feathers, especially among the fans of those icons. But honestly, if you were to ask your mother if she knew the name Ken Hanaoka and then ask her about Manny Pacquiao, you would see my point as clear as day. The lack of a star like Manny Pacquiao in the Philippine bodybuilding community makes it harder for young people to look up to bodybuilding as a future career or serious pursuit. Icons like Kai Soto help inspire individuals and create a generation of Filipinos who wish to follow in their footsteps. With few bodybuilding icons in the spotlight, even less young people will consider bodybuilding as a viable career or a sport worth pursuing. Despite all these challenges, bodybuilding has experienced a significant increase in popularity in the recent years, mainly due to the rise of social media influencers in Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and other social media platforms, allowing bodybuilding to reach a much larger audience. These influencers are slowly turning bodybuilding in the Philippines from the small community that it once was to what it is now. Fitness influencers are inspiring more and more Filipinos to embrace gym culture, nutrition, and bodybuilding techniques. Additionally, local bodybuilding shows, fitness expos, and events are becoming more and more common in urban areas, helping raise awareness and attract more fans. International competitions like the Miss Olympia are also getting more traction and has gained significant social media presence. Companies like Waking have made supplements more widely available in the Philippines and has helped support athletes with potential, both financially and giving them a bigger platform on social media. This helps the sport grow and raise awareness on what the sport is truly about. Bodybuilding faces several big challenges in the Philippines, including, but not limited to, those that I have previously mentioned. However, the influence of social media has contributed greatly to its growth in the recent years. Social media has promoted the awareness about the sport and has helped break the stereotypes created by outdated mindsets of most Filipinos regarding bodybuilding, slowly revealing it as a highly competitive sport. While it may not hold the same level of fame as sports like basketball and boxing, bodybuilding continues to carve out a niche among those who are dedicated fans of fitness. Most people who are attracted to the sport may never step on stage, but the fact that the sport is slowly being accepted by many is a step in the right direction. Inspiring people to embark on their own fitness journey has always been and forever will be the core of the sport. May it be for health reasons or self esteem improvement, bodybuilding is a sport where anyone can benefit from. In my own personal opinion, bodybuilding is one of the greatest sports ever because it will reveal who you truly are as a person and show you what you are truly capable of and how much you are willing to sacrifice and suffer in order to win. This has been the Modern Bodybuilder saying hashtag walang sukuan and thank you for watching.